Hello. Today I'm gonna go over parameterized queries in MySQL using ASP.NET 4.5 in Visual Studio 2013. Okay. So yeah, just a quick go over of what my code is. We've got a ASPX page or a web form. Using web forms, you could use Razor or MVC. And it should work similarly. So you got your we get really in our content 3 from our site master. We have a paragraph tag that runs at the server, so we can access it from our ASPX.cs or code behind. Woo. Got results. Is our ID, so we can grab it. So in here on page load, we query the database. Here's my function for querying the database. Here's our MySQL stuff that we can grab. Make sure you import this MySQL stuff right here. You can do that by going Tools if you don't have it. NuGet Packet Manager, and just type in MySQL right there. And it will retrieve, and MySQL.data is really the one you want. Okay. So here we're initializing the connection object, the command object, query string. We have a variable up here, problem gets 25. That's the input from the user that they could use to potentially SQL inject our code and get information we don't want. And so set up the connection. Connection string. You can find that. Did I change something in here? I hope not. Control-Z. Control-S. Oh well. Okay. You can find that in your web.config. Right here. Go in here. You got your connection string. We're using our web app connection string. It comes with a default one, which runs on the local host. Just all that stuff. But you don't need to see it. So you can find your connection string there. Web app connection string. ToString. Okay, then our query string, we're just selecting username and password from the user info table, where the user ID equals whatever. So this is pretty much basically someone wants to log in, and they would send their username, but instead of user ID, because that's just for the unique key in the table. But we're doing that just because I can use numbers instead of trying to remember or looking and typing what the usernames are. So. And then, yeah, the problem is what we want to enter in. Go through, use a try catch, try to read it. If it doesn't, then it takes us to an error page, because if you're going to fail, you might as well fail gracefully. Good thing to include when you're doing a response redirect is the false. It says, okay, this is changing the page, we're not staying here. And then the context application completion request, which also says we are done here, do not stop executing code on this page, which will prevent the server itself from throwing an error, which will happen if you do any redirection up in your try block. Okay, so in try, making a command object, opening the connection while the reader, using the reader while it reads. It just takes the results, or it takes the get string, so the first and second result, so that'd be username and password, and just appending it to results.innerText, which is just inside the tags for our paragraph. So yeah, we run this, give it a second. It's probably getting choppy because my CPU doesn't multitask very well. Oh well, not much I can do. Yes, this will probably take quite a while. So, yeah, this will just give us one result for number 25. Yep, we got our test user B and our password, which has been hashed and salted, which is something you want to do in case someone does manage to SQL inject. They can get a username, but unless they're going to spend a lot of time brute forcing the hash to this password, which just take forever. It's not many people have supercomputers just lying around. Or they could use a library or a dictionary to try to replicate your password using a bunch of words, which is why you have strange characters in the middle of your words. Just try not to use the ones that are normal, because then they could have like replacing A with 4, because that is a common one, or I with 1, or is it E and 4? I can't remember, but they'll
E and 3.
E and 3, thank you. So stuff like that they could add to their dictionary, which then it will look for. So that's why a lot of people append numbers to the back. So, or the front. But yeah, special characters help as well, because it's harder to do that. So now we are going to SQL inject. So we're going to replace this. So instead of user just putting in 25 or what their username is, they'll put, yes, 25 or 1 equals 1. This is a super basic SQL injection, really easy to do, and might be something you want to try at some point on a website just to see how secure they are. But yeah, I wouldn't. But I'm not a hacker, so it's loading and loading. This will give us all the results from that table. Hey, look at all that fun stuff. Yeah, it's hard to read, but James Jameson, alcohol is bad is his password. Okay, so looking at this, our table has some old passwords and users, which are all just made up for testing, but this is before we started salting and hashing the passwords, so yeah. So yeah, they just got all our usernames and passwords with a very simple addition to our SQL. So you can do that. You can also do empty string equals empty string. I'm using the escape characters for the quotation marks because this is C#, or in Java, or in C, or in, yeah, just escape characters. You should know that if you're watching this. And that will give us the same thing, because it's basically saying if blank equals blank, which is true. So if it equals 25 or is true. There's other ways we could, if we were doing a batched query, we could add a semicolon and then drop star, which I don't think that's allowed, but you could drop certain tables, drop table. Yeah, but we're not doing batched queries. So yeah. Okay, so that's how you SQL inject, and we want to guard against that. So a nice thing that MySQL has, I don't know if MS SQL has, and I think that Oracle's database stuff also has parameterized query, but don't quote me on that. I just know MySQL has it, because that's pretty much all I work in. So we got our query. So first we want to change this. We'll put this back to 1 equals 1. Okay, so instead of having it plus problem or just appending to the string, we are going to use a nice parameterized. So we'll just do question mark ID. The question mark signifies, okay, this is input that is going to be replaced later. And so after we open the connection, we want to do command.prepare our parameterized, and then command.parameters. This is only for .NET. It's different in JavaScript, it's different in PHP, which I wouldn't do this in JavaScript because that's client side, and that could lead to very bad issues. Unless you're using Node.js, which is different, which I need to look into. But okay, and then we want to do add with value. Add would work, but it's outdated, and I think there's an exploit for it, at least from what I was reading, so you want to do add with value. And so we put in what needs to be replaced, so it's question mark ID, and we are going to replace it with problem. Now you'll see that we still have our injection there, and I'm going to keep it there to prove a point. And that's all I have to do. If you had other things that was ID or something equals question mark ID, you only need ID once because it will replace both of those. It does all instances of that. Or if you have blah blah blah, then you have to add another line to replace blah blah blah. So we'll delete that because we don't want that. So that should be all that we need to add, which is really nice for .NET. In PHP, you kind of have to change up a lot of things to do it, and there's some things that work depending on the server you have, which I guess would be the same for ASP.NET, but I should try this on the main server to make sure they support it, which I think they would, but, you know, I think. So, look at that. It just gave us 1. Just test user B. Even though we have this 1 equals 1. Because what this does, the parameterize, it goes in, and MySQL does this. It's not on our server, it's on our database server. It just grabs what it has until the next SQL command, and then it just throws that away, which prevents SQL injection, and as far as I know, no one has able to get past that, so it's good to have that. So yeah, that's a quick little thing on parameterized queries in ASP.NET. It's for MySQL. It's really nice. It helps prevent that. It's not super secure, not at all. Well, it is more secure for SQL injection, but what we have here isn't really that super secure because, yeah, I don't need to go into it because this website will be live for a bit once it's updated. So yeah, I hope this helps, and have a nice day. There it is.